Welcome back, marketers. Why is it important for entrepreneurs to know their market? It will save you money, time, and the pain of failure if you will do some basic work to understand your market. I don't expect entrepreneurs and small business owners to hire expensive marketing research firms to do this for them.
Oh, too expensive.
There are some simple, basic things that if you'll take the time to do your own market research, it can save you a lot of struggle. And we all want simpler, less expensive success, right? I'm Amy Walker, Client Acquisition Specialist, and I help clients to create consistent, predictable sales through their organic marketing and their scalable sales strategies. One of my pet peeves is entrepreneurs who are unwilling to do this work. They act like it's too basic for them or that they're too busy to do it. To which I say, enjoy wasting your time and money because I guarantee that is coming. Here's my promise. If you will take the time to treat this video like a business strategy exercise and really dig into these 8 different things that I'm going to recommend you analyze, you're going to walk away knowing your market. You'll feel confident about making the right decisions, and it's going to save you time and a lot of headache. Number 8 is actually the reason I'm seeing the majority of marketing campaigns flop right now, so make sure you stick with me until the end. Tip number 1 is make sure there's an audience. It is a lot easier to create a product or to create a service than it is to create an audience. And so if there's not a group of people out there that you can sell to, then it's going to be really, really hard. You're going to have to do a lot of gathering and a lot of effort to educate people instead of just finding an existing audience that you can serve. Tip number 2, when you're looking at the market is there a need and a desire and an opportunity for what you want to sell? I've had clients that I've worked with in the past where they're doing something that's very new and it's very innovative and it is legitimately cool, but there's nobody out there that's buying similar things. It's like they're not solving a problem people know they have. And so it takes a lot longer to get it selling and to go to market. It's much harder. So if you'll find an audience that's an active, participating, hungry audience, and then figure out what they need and create a product or a service that fills the need of a specific audience, already your go-to-market strategy is going to be so much more simple. The third thing that I want you to look at is the size of the audience. So maybe you found 5 sheep herders in Finland who really need an ice pick for their sheep's fur, right? But there's not enough of them worldwide because most sheep farmers are in warmer climates, then that's not going to be a big enough audience. So as you're analyzing, I really do want you to look at the size of the audience and the reach of the audience and make sure that you're not tapping out too quickly by creating a niche product that only fits a few people. Okay, number 4 is one that I almost don't want to tell you, but I have to tell you. It's to figure out how saturated your market is. So you look at your audience, you look at the product, you look at the size of the audience, how many people are selling something similar to that audience. The reason I almost don't want to tell you to do this is because I don't want you to give up on a great idea because you're worried about market saturation. If your market is saturated, you are going to need to figure out how are you going to differentiate yourself? How will you make yourself stand out from the crowd? So you need to know the saturation level. You need to know what everyone else is talking about. You need to know what's the vanilla ice cream of your industry, that there's like tons of it, but it's not necessarily anyone's unique favorite flavor. Then you've got to figure out what is going to be your way in that will be unique, that will stand out, that will capture attention, what's going to be your unique selling position. So we do have to look at saturation, but for me, if there's a big enough audience and if there's a need, I'm willing to find ways to differentiate and stand out, because the biggest massive companies that have exploded in the last 10 to 15 years have actually been companies that have come into a saturated industry and figured out how to do it better. So for example, Airbnb and Vrbo really changed the vacation travel scene. Well, there's already a ton of hotels, right? If they looked at it from the perspective of hotels, then they're really saturated. But when they looked at it and said, okay, we're really saturated, there's tons of hotels, but you know what there's not? there's not really a great way to have a home-like environment while you're traveling. And that's easier, frankly, for a lot of families.
This Airbnb is fantastic.
We always, when we're traveling with all the kids, we very rarely stay in hotels. We're almost always in Airbnbs. So they did it differently. If you look at the Lyft and Uber business model, they were already working in a saturated industry. There's tons of cabs, tons and tons, but they figured out a way to distinguish themselves and to take out the resistance of what the clients were not happy with. And so if you can find something that someone's already doing that's saturated, that tells you there's a big audience, there's a big market for it. But then if you find the things that bug people about, like, I remember having to like fight for a cab when I was in my late teens, early 20s. Taxi! And you don't have to do that anymore. Like, I've not had to fight for a cab since Uber came out and Lyft. I just get on my phone. It makes it so much easier. So that's not a deal breaker, but if you are in a saturated market, you have to figure out how to do it better and different. If these tips are helpful, would you do me a favor and like the video so that YouTube views this favorably in the algorithms? Also, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification so you can get notified every time we release new content. Okay, so the next thing is that we need to understand price comps. What is our competition charging and what's the range from high to low? You do not want to try to be the least expensive option, because what will happen is you have zero customer loyalty and your customers are always looking for the next best deal and they will leave you in a heartbeat. You don't want to be the most expensive unless you have a specific reason why you're the most expensive. At the top, they want a lot more social proof and they want a lot more, like, you got to have the experience to claim that spot. I like to tell my clients to price themselves about 2/3 of the way in. You'll get the majority of your competition is going to be priced like at the bottom half. And that's going to, setting your price above is going to set you above the competition, and it puts you in a smaller pool of people that are charging what you're charging for the service you're charging. It's also easier to be profitable when you're priced in that zone, because you're not competing against like the Dollar General, right? You're competing against higher level brands, and the clients who are looking in that space, they tend to be more financially motivated to make decisions and make purchases. So question for you, when was the last time you called competitors to find out what their pricing was? If it's been a while, this might be a good time to do it. So if you've done this, if you've called your competitors to find out what they're charging, go ahead and type in the comments below and let us know how it went. What did you learn from that experience? Okay, sixth thing I want you to look at is how well do you know your ideal clients? When you can explain to them their problem better than they can explain it themselves, they trust that you know how to solve that problem for them. And so this is one of my pet peeves. It actually really frustrates me when I try to get people to do their client research and they tell me things like, oh, I've done this before. When did you do it? A couple years ago. No, your clients have changed. Every time before I launch a new marketing campaign or I create a new product, I go back to this basic foundation of who are the clients? What is their demographic information? What's their psychographic information? What has changed in their world since we created our last product? And how is this going to make their lives better today? People change, the world changes. And having done something once, that's kind of like my kids saying, I took a shower 2 weeks ago, or I brushed my teeth a month ago, right? Like that would be super gross. I would not put up with that as a parent. You cannot put up with that as a business owner. This is something you need to be frequently, and I would say constantly, trying to understand your ideal client better. So have you surveyed them recently? Have you gotten exit surveys after they're done with their service to find out what went well and what could be improved? Have you asked them questions like, hey, before you signed up with us, what kind of things were you searching for online? Like, how did you find us? What was the problem or the questions you were asking online? Get that information, because that is continually going to fill your information pool to help you understand your market better. All right, number 7, I alluded to, but I'm coming back to it, psychographic information. I'm telling you, too many people are like, oh, I know who my ideal client is. They're between 25 and 50. They live in the US. They earn $75,000 to $100,000. And the reality is that's very useless information. I mean, I know you need to have it to an extent, but first of all, a 25-year-old is not having the same life experiences as a 50-year-old. So the psychographic information is the foundation by which we build our messaging and how we select where we should be marketing. And it just really is that foundation point for so much of what we do. So the psychographic information is what's going on inside of their head. What are their hopes? What are their dreams? What are their fears? What are their doubts? What do they want to have happen? What do they not want to have happen? What are the problems that they're aware that they have? What are the problems that they're not aware that they have? Who are they trying to please when they make decisions? We want to get inside of their heads and understand our clients, again, better than they understand themselves. Because when we do that, we can create effective messaging that speaks to them, that captures their attention, and that gets them excited to take that next action step. Now, this leads into number 8. Everything's building off of each other, which is your messaging. Messaging should not be about you and what you think is important to talk about. Too often when I see marketing campaigns not work, it's this right here, the messaging is off. And so here's the biggest problem that I see. You talk to your clients about where you want them to be right before they say yes to you. Your clients are in step 1. So you're having a step 9 conversation, which is like pre-conversion, and they're not ready for that.
I'm not ready.
So they're looking at that and they're saying, that's not me. They're not identifying with it because you're talking very solution oriented. Instead, you need to start very much at the basics, make the client the focal point of everything. Where are they? What are they aware of as their problems? What do they want? And create all of your messaging around that first step space. And then you move them up to a level 9 or level 10 where they say yes. But if your messaging is off and it's not super clear, you're gonna lose them. Now, I'll be honest with you, there was this golden phase in social media where small business owners could, post pictures of their lifestyle and get clients just because of it. We're kind of over that phase. It's done, it's gone, it's not coming back anytime soon. The phase that we're in right now is, where do your clients see themselves? What do they want? And are you hooking them and captivating them to the point where when they read your stuff, they're like, this is exactly what I needed to hear today. This speaks to me. If you're not hearing comments like that, then your messaging is off. If people are saying things like, oh, that's so cool you experienced that, I love that you do that, and the comments are all about you, then your messaging is off in terms of attracting potential leads and clients. If the messages are about them, wow, this was so helpful, you really solved a problem for me, or I've been trying to figure out how to do this and now I feel like I'm pointed in the right direction. If the comments are about them, it tells you that your messaging is landing. So here you have it. Now we have talked about why it's so important for entrepreneurs to know their market, and I've given you some steps on what you can do to actually start researching and understand your market. But the next thing that I want you to do is have a comprehensive marketing plan. So go watch the How to Fix the 5 Biggest Problems in Your Marketing. It's a 15-minute masterclass, and it's going to show you really how to lay out a successful organic lead generation marketing plan. And if you are looking for a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, I would love to have you in my private Facebook group, Acquire. Come join us. It's a group of really cool entrepreneurs. You can ask questions. I do weekly behind-the-scenes trainings, and just lots of great content going in there. And I would love to have you. Thanks so much for being here. Have a great rest of your day.